Hey guys, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing my brushes for beginners. These are some of my absolute favorite brushes that I use every single day, and I'm just going to go through kind of like the basics of brushes and what they do. So if you're a beginner, these are just going to be kind of like the basic brushes that you would need to get started. So if you are interested in that, then keep watching, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. I've been starting a beginner's guide to makeup series on my channel, so I've had a couple of videos already that I will link down below. And you guys voted on my Instagram that you wanted to see a beginner's makeup brushes, so that's what I'm doing today. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me. I will have that linked down here as well. All right, I'm going to go in the order of how I use these brushes when I apply my makeup. I will link all of these brushes as well as different alternatives down below in the bottom bar for you if you are looking for them. So first up is not a brush. It is the EcoTools sponge. I think that this is one of my favorite sponges I've ever used. Actually, I think it is just my favorite sponge. I think it's amazing, and this will blend out your foundation, BB cream, concealer, anything like that, like a dream. It won't leave brush strokes, and it will just leave your makeup looking so airbrushed and flawless. It will also pick up a little bit of the extra foundation if you have a little bit too much on. It'll kind of sheer it out for you and give you a more natural look. I think it's such a good tool. I think it's amazing for beginners. And this is from the drugstore. I'll link it. It's from Ulta, and you can get these for a very affordable price. After you've set down a base, you will either put concealer on under your eyes and in different areas to highlight, or not. And if you do want to put concealer under your eyes, then you'll want to set it. So I have the Real Techniques setting brush. This is the perfect size to fit right under those eyes and really put powder and set your under eye. I also have another use for this that I will show you in a little bit. And then if you don't put concealer on under your eye, then you can skip right to setting the rest of your face, which then you will use a setting brush. This is or a powder brush rather. This is the EcoTools Full Powder Brush. I'm obsessed with this. It is my favorite powder brush I've ever used. I love it for bronzer, but you can also use it for powder. I use the Real Techniques powder brush for my powder, but if you're only going to get one of them, I recommend getting the EcoTools ones. They're very comparable in price, but this one is just so amazing for bronzer. I don't know what I would do without it for my bronzer, so I would say get this one if you're only going to get one, and then just use it also for your all-over powder. And then when it comes to bronzer, this thing is just so good. For bronzer, you'll want to put your bronzer in a 3E motion. So you'll do a 3 on one side and an E on the other side. That is just a really good tip to use on how to place your bronzer. So you'll just want to kind of like on your forehead, and then in the hollows of your cheekbones, and really like warm up your cheeks, and then right under that jawline to give you a little bit of a shadow and a more defined jawline. After bronzer, you will put on blush. This is my Morphe E4 brush. I love angled brushes for blush. I just think that they're so much easier to use, and this one is the perfect size. So you'll just tap it onto the apples of your cheeks and then blend back onto your cheekbones. This one and the Zoeva blush brush are my two favorites. The Zoeva one is a little bit harder to get your hands on, but it's still possible. I love that brush. I use these two interchangeably. But I will link a couple other ones as well, maybe ones that you can get from the drugstore. The Real Techniques one I don't like because it's not an angled brush, but I'll find a few for you and link them down below. All right, quickly I'm gonna talk about two steps that are optional. If you want to contour, absolutely, then contour. The contour brush that I really like is the Real Techniques one. There's a ton of these. All of the ones that look like this came in a set, so you'll see a few more of them, and they're just so good. But this is a great contouring brush, and you can just put this right into the hollows of your cheeks. That's where you're going to want to set your contour. It's to create a shadow on your cheekbones and look like your face is a little bit more chiseled. And then you can also use it to contour the sides of your forehead, and then also right on that jawline. So that is an optional brush if you want to contour. And then if you are interested in highlighting, two different options. First one is that Real Techniques setting brush that I talked about a bit ago. You can use this to highlight. This is a great highlighting brush. My other option is this one, which is the Luxie 522 tapered highlighter brush. I love this one just because the bristles are a little bit fluffier than these ones are. but this one will put highlight a little bit more dispersed. This one will be a little bit more precise. So you'll just want to be careful with it and place it exactly where you want it. But yeah, these are optional, especially if you want to get a separate one for highlighting. You can use this one just as well if you are setting your under eyes and then just highlight with it as well. All right, I think that is it for face brushes. So now we're gonna move on to eye brushes. First up is a big fluffy brush. This is the type of brush that you will use to put a color into your crease and just kind of blend it everywhere. This is the brush that I always start with. Any makeup look I do ever, I always start with a big fluffy brush. So I have 3 of them here. This is the Ipsy L34 Blend Beauty and it's from SL Miss Glam. This one is from Scone and it's the blending brush. This one is from Zoeva and it is the 227 Luxe Soft Definer. So any fluffy brush will do. I will try and find a couple other ones as well to link because all of these are hard to get. So I will try and find a couple that are from brands that are easier to get your hands on that I really like as well. Next is a smaller definer brush. So this one is the Zoeva 231 Luxe Petite Crease. This one is from ColourPop and it doesn't have a name. And then this one is from Vasanti and it is the Contour Eyeshadow 4. A lot of these I've gotten in like Ipsy bags, so they're kind of harder to get your hands on, but just a brush that's a smaller one that you can kind of place a color in your outer V or even blend a color into your crease, but maybe be a little bit more precise with it. So the difference between a big fluffy brush and a smaller brush, you're just gonna get a lot more control over where you're putting the color than you would with this. This is gonna disperse the color a lot more than this will. So that's just kind of the only difference between those two. And then next up is a shader brush. So I have 3 here. This one is my favorite. This is again one of the ones from that set from Real Techniques. This is just a really great flat shader brush. I've got this one from Bogasha. It's the eyeshadow brush. I'm assuming I got this in a Ipsy bag. And then this was the Ulta Beauty brand eyeshadow brush, and I'm not a huge fan of this one. I would go with a Real Techniques one, or again, I will link a few other ones down below. But basically you just want a brush that's flat, and then this is one that you will just put your all over eye color on. So any eyeshadow that you're gonna put your entire lid color, that's what you'll use this flat shader brush for. Next, I recommend getting a smudge brush. This is the Real Techniques smudge brush, again from that set. But this is just a really small brush, and this is one that you can place like an eyeshadow and stamp it on your lash line or blend out your lower lash line. This just has so many uses, and I use this brush almost daily. That's what I use to apply my bottom. This is eyeliner, but it's actually just eyeshadow that I blended out. And a lot of times I'll blend out eyeshadow on my lash line, on my upper lash line, instead of using liquid liner. So this is a really good brush for that. Next is a angled liner brush. I use this if I'm using gel liner. So if you have like a little pot of gel liner, you can just put your brush in and then use that to stamp it out. Or if I do eyeshadow for eyeliner, I will again just dip right into my eyeshadow and then stamp it on my lash line. You can even create a little baby wing with this with eyeshadow or with gel liner. You can place it on your lower lash line if you want a more precise look than you would get with a smudge brush. This will give you a bit of a cleaner look. I just have so many uses for this, so I highly recommend getting an angled brush. There are plain eyeliner brushes. They look kind of like this. This is a pencil brush, but they look kind of like this. They're teeny tiny and precision brushes, and you'll do your liquid liner with them. I think it's so hard. I think it is 1,000 times easier to do your liner with an angled brush. So my recommendation would be to go in this direction. I have 2 more brush tool type products I just want to mention really quick. This one is a eyebrow and eyelash brush and comb. I use this to comb out my eyebrows every day, and then I use this side. It's missing a couple of teeth on here, but I'll use this to brush out my eyelashes if they're clumpy, which you have to be very careful if you do that because you can pull out your eyelashes. But I use a product like this all the time. This one is from Sonia Kashuk. I think that e.l.f. has one. You can get one from almost any brand. They're super easy to find, and you don't need one that's special at all. It's not going to really make a difference. And then lastly is an eyelash curler. I don't know what I would do without an eyelash curler. My eyelashes are very straight, and so it is very hard for me to look like I have like big awake eyes if I don't curl my lashes. This is essential in my mind, so I highly recommend getting an eyelash curler. This one I think is a Revlon one, maybe. I don't even know. I will pick them up from anywhere. I am not picky about it. I don't think that you need a very special one. I will note that there's certain ones for certain eyes. I accidentally bought a pair that were for round eyes, and it was like pinching my eyelashes and my eyelids, and it was terrible and painful. So definitely make sure you're not buying one for a different eye shape, but some of them are just general ones for any kind of an eye shape. So definitely recommend getting an eyelash curler. Alrighty guys, that is everything for this video. I hope that you found it helpful, and if you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer any of them. As I said before, I'll link everything that I mentioned down below in the bottom bar. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!